Not my own abduction, but my cousin was abducted. She lives in Mexico. She was walking home after being dropped off by the school bus when a van drove up. Men wearing bandanas over their faces pulled into the van, tied her up, and placed a hood over her head. They drove for a long time according, and she was taken and left in a barn along with other kidnapped young women. She asked what was going on and where are they, but the woman wouldn't answer her. Some, she somehow got loose from her rope and started to look for an escape. She found a window and broke it with a chair. She urged the other girls to come with, but they were too scared to leave. My cousin left them and she ran nonstop to the nearest town, staying off the roads in case they were looking for her. Luckily, she found a phone in the town and called her family. She is safe now, but she could never remember where the location of the barn was. She still feels guilty about it all. When I was 11 years old, we lived in a small villa behind a Canadian university. Just for reference, we live in a Muslim country, Dubai. When I was younger, I was really into skateboarding, and I would skate in front of our house. I heard my mother calling my name, and I picked up the skateboard. A white Nissan Patrol came flying down the street with the passenger door wide open. I dropped my board and fled for the gate. As I opened the metal gate, I felt a cold hand grab my neck and tried to pull me. I grabbed the gate and forced myself through it, closing it behind me. I was not abducted, but the feeling of the cold hand still haunts me. 10 years later. When I was about 13, my girlfriend and I were walking home from the library during summer break. We both had a few books and a beautiful day in northern New Jersey, so we were very happy. We reached the crossroads where she turned to go for a few more blocks to her house, and I would go the opposite direction, 3 blocks to my home. As we were standing in the corner just talking before we would have parted ways, a 60s style red car pulled up in the corner. A very attractive young blonde man in his 20s asked if we knew the location of Church Street. Where we were standing at the corner, you could clearly tell Church Street was about 20 feet on the other side of the main road, where we were all stopped, so this question was odd. Furthermore, Church Street was only 1 block long, was one way, and only had a large church and approximately 4 houses on it. What would this young guy in a cherry red car need on Church Street? My girlfriend just pointed to the Church Street and said right there. Weird. The gentleman then joked, introduced himself, and tried to initiate conversation. He was articulate, attractive, and charming. Why was he talking to us? He made a joke. Asked us about what we were doing. Did we know where to get a soda, etc. He told me that I had beautiful hair and long, wavy auburn, and that he was a hairstylist. He said it would like to cut my hair for free and would like to use me in a modeling show. He asked me to come and take some paperwork so he could give some some information. Though my hair got a lot of comments, I certainly was not a model material. More weird. He kept talking, trying to be over friendly, he was just kept trying to become more creepy. He offered to buy us sodas and drive the street. It was hot. After saying no many times in many ways and trying not to give him any real info, he finally drove down the street slowly down Church Street. My girlfriend began to run home her way, and I wanted to get to my house ASAP. I remember thinking that if he went around the block, that he would come up on me and again alone. So I made the decision to take a slight detour and go down Church Street. It was risky since it was a very sparse street, yet I figured at least he could not really turn around on the one-way street, and if he did, I would see him coming. I cut through the church complex and made it home, where I told my dad what happened. The police came and took a report and also talked to my friend. They mentioned that a gentleman had attempted to speak with the other girl on the other side of town a few days prior who matched the car and physical description. I have a friend who was kidnapped. He came home late one night and a van pulled up right beside him and a few guys grabbed him. They were planning on holding him for ransom, under the impression his dad was rich. His dad did pay the ransom, and he was dumped in some remote part of the city and had to find his own way home. Luckily uninjured. It happened a couple years back, and to this day he refuses to go out at night. You see, he gets visibly shaken whenever a vehicle passes and stops nearby him. My friend and I were playing in a creek that ran from her backyard to the next street over. I was 7 or 8 at the time. We're playing around talking when I just stopped. She, confused, kept asking me what was wrong because I just stopped in my tracks. This guy in a green car had passed and then backed up to where we were to stop and stare at us. He slowly started opening his door, then locked all of them with the power button, but manually unlocked the passenger side, facing us, which was weird to me. I told my friend very quietly, on the count of 3, run as fast as you can back home. 1, 2, 3. We started to take off. I heard the man's door shut and the car take off. We ran back to her house through the woods like crazy, and I told her mom what happened. By this time we were out of breath and crying. It was terrifying. My sister is doing time for kidnapping, and here is her story. She is a meth addict and rolls with a biker crowd. One day she gets a call from one of these guys saying they have a problem and need her, so she goes to the address and it's a hotel. She goes to the room inside 2 tied up girls and a tweaked out biker. He tells her that he is missing 3 ounces of glass, and these are 3 of the only ones that had been in the room. He doesn't want to physically beat it out of them because they are chicks and he is on parole. My sister tells him to gather all of their possessions. They had been partying for a few days and put it in her trunk. After that's done, she tells him to take it to a safe house and thoroughly go through their things. So he goes, and my sister starts interrogation. Both girls over 18, younger than 21. They say they have no idea what's going on. The guy calls and says there is nothing in their gear, so he comes back to the hotel. They decide to get the girls in the house and the interrogation will get intense. They go to the house and the girls are handcuffed in the basement. My sister and other old lady go to these chicks. Nothing super bad, but punching, spitting, verbal assaults, etc. Well, a day goes by and the girls don't have anything to say. The guy goes back to the hotel and lo and behold, the dope and the vent in the bathroom. Guy goes back to the house and they are going to let the girls go. The girls are told not to say anything and they agreed and are released. One girl takes off and goes right to the police. The other girl asks if she can stay and get high.